morning, Rachel with BreakOut Studios. We're going to be going over some additional functional movements like I had mentioned in the previous video. So first of all, thank you for logging on and seeking some of our information in terms of trainers and dancers, because we believe that we can offer you some great information to keep you moving. Functional movement, we've kind of moved into this, all these fitness fads, and I like to come back to basics, and so functional movement basics are kind of like my key component. When I work with individuals just coming back into the fitness world, we have to set up and make sure that the structure is solid, we have a good solid base so that we can begin to add agility, speed, and load. So as we move through these movements, I'm going to show you weight-free, basically is what I'm going to show you. If you want to add weights or you have additional questions, always say reach out to the studio, let them know, and we can continue broadcasting information for you. So we're going to start with a basic rotation of the torso. Once again, when we talk about functional movement, we don't move as much as anymore. We sit kind of at the desk or at the computer, and so we tend to have a little bit of a rounded shoulder, and so we've lost some of our postural strength, if you will. So as we come back to functional movement, we really want to think of what's happening within the hips, making sure the stability is nice and solid, which means my core is locked, and I call it locked and loaded. It's like a corset belly, so all of my belly is active. So that as I take my torso into any type of rotation, whether I'm going to move my body from side to side, I can have that full range of motion, knowing that everything is nice and stable still. So I'm going to show you something that has been demonstrated, which I appreciate, in terms of getting some length within the hips as well as nice length within the torso rotation. And we've done this in warm-ups in my class as well. So you basically place your hands, if you were to look in the mirror, your hands are right about shoulder height. You can face those palms together, but what's really important is that my glute is active, so I have a nice stretch going down the front of my hip on the right side. My heel has the weight of my left leg, so that as I turn over my torso, I get a nice stretch going all the way down my back, into my hip, into my psoas. So as I take that rotation, I can inhale and inhale back to midline, which allows me to begin to feel the frequency or the stretch within my torso. So as I rotate it, I inhale, I exhale, and I come back to midline. You're definitely going to feel it, especially if you haven't worked the muscle segments in a long time. You'll definitely feel the hip stretch, and that's what we like, first of all. But that rotation will become longer. You'll be able to twist longer, further, each time you work with it. With every exhale, I always say, see if you can turn that torso a little bit further, making sure you're maintaining integrity within that core. So let's go ahead and try the other side, which means my left leg's going to come back, my right leg is forward. I've got that clean lunge like was described in the previous video. My knee is right over my ankle. I have the weight center. Weight can be felt in the heel as well. My glute is squeezed. My hands are shoulder height. As I inhale and I exhale, I take my body all the way over that right side. I inhale back to midline. I take that twist again, and I bring myself back to midline. And every time I take that twist, I see if I can exhale a little bit more air and take that torso twist a little bit further. So that's the first one in terms of rotation. Lots of exercise that can be compounded within that movement itself. We're going to go down to the floor. Two other movements we talk about are push and pull. We always think of the classic push-up, but some of you know we have the summer challenge going right now for BreakOut Studios. And so we have a few people who haven't necessarily been doing the pushing or the pulling. And so the question is, what does form look like when we're pushing and pulling? And what are some of the easiest ways to get those movements in? So for me, gotta love the band. The band is a lightweight thing you can pop in, you can travel with, and just use anywhere. And you can use your own body as your stability place. So for the pulling, which for me is about the back and getting the structure set so that as I go into my push movement, being a pull-up or a push-up, or if I begin to use weights, I want to make sure my back is nice and solid. You probably have seen Harrison's video about back strength. We always say the back and the belly can be worked every day. You really want to make sure you use these muscle segments. They're the most frequently injured. So I can literally wrap the band around my feet and use that as my base, so that as I start doing my pull movement into my row, whether it's a low row or I go into my upright row, all that's happening is it actually feels like my shoulder blades are coming together, kissing each other. So I'm really squeezing the lats, I'm using my delts, I've got everything active and firing. So that as I squeeze, and I like to rotate and do what are called compound movements. So I like to go high to low or front to back in my trainings. Those of you who know me, so I like to kind of what we call train to failure. So we'll go high and we'll go low. Those are the two most popular pulling movements outside of doing a traditional pull-up, which for a lot of women, that's not really where we're going in terms of fitness. So we want to make sure that it's, once again, functional, so that I can feel like I can pull things, pick things up, whether it be a grandchild or a child, and then grocery bags, right? So we always want to make sure that we have the movement, that range of motion, so we're not feeling off kilter and create injury. So once again, we have an upright row and we have a low row, all of which are the basic pulling movements. We're going to talk about push-ups now. We talk about pushing. A lot of people, when we go into the fitness centers, will see doing the push-ups, right? We've got the, when we're doing any kind of chest press, chest fly, we've got a lot of movements. But in the home, the easiest thing to do is, of course, is a push-up. And for those of us who are just starting, you can always start on the wall, which is just creating the basic flow of the movement itself, which is just all about finding that place on the wall where you can place those hands about shoulder height, and you want to just lean into that wall and press away. The stronger you get, you can take more weight into that body, which allows you to carry more weight in the upper body. As we move to the floor, the next stability place, let me actually turn this to the side, so you can see, I've got to create that nice plank movement. So it means that my hips, everything is in one line. From shoulder to knee, it's one clean line. So that as I take my dip down into that push-up position, I can literally get that ground, which for me is the stretch. So it's really nice to have that deep stretch as I push up. Then from there, I can roll the toes, press it up, and take it all the way down to all the way up. So functional 5, like we talk about, we've got the push, we've got the pull, we've got the hinge, we have the lunge, we have the squat, and we have the rotation. These are all imperative parts of basic living that we don't necessarily take advantage of. So this is some additional information. I hope you can put it to good use in your home and join us here at the center. Have a good day.